Hello everyone and welcome back to the Chess24 Legends of Chess tournament. It's game 4 between Vladimir Kramnik and Magnus Carlsen, and after that loss that we've seen in the previous video, we've entered the final game, and Kramnik is in a must-win situation. He must win this game in order to force Armageddon and to hopefully win the match. As without winning the match, he cannot qualify for the final of the Legends of Chess tournament. And Magnus is already qualified, but he will of course play as best as he can, as he usually does. So Kramnik with the white pieces opens with e4 and Magnus goes for c5. I know we usually say that you go for the Sicilian when you need a win, but Magnus can, go for it whenever he wants. And also probably if he went e5, I don't know if Magnus would rather face Kramnik in something like the Berlin or maybe rather in a Sicilian, as Kramnik is well known for his prowess in the Berlin defense. So here, knight to f3, we have d6 and d4. Vlad strikes in the center, we have captures, knight f6, knight to c3, and now something we don't see very often from Magnus, he goes for a6, the knight of Sicilian is on the board, usually he of course goes for the Sveshnikov. We've seen him play it plenty of times, but now he's probably suspecting that Kramnik has been well prepared for the Sveshnikov, of course, so he decides to mix it up. So here we have bishop to c4, preparing this well-known maneuver, shifting the bishop to b3. We have b5 by Magnus, bishop to b3, and now e6. Now we have the Sozin variation on the board. We have bishop to e3 and bishop to e7. Magnus now prepares to castle. We have queen to e2 and castles. And Kramnik still has to decide whether he wants to play a calm game by castling kingside, or will he go queenside and then go for the standard f3, g4, h4, h5, g5, and so on. So here Kramnik does go for f3, and now he says, okay, my bishop is nicely placed here, my dark square bishop is also on a very nice square, I'm gonna play g4, h4, h5, and start an attack against Carlsen's king. And okay, Carlsen continues development, we have queen to c7, and now g4. And okay, knight to c6, and there have been some moves played in this position, like queenside castle is a known move, g5 is a known move, queen to f2 is a known move, but the move Vladimir plays is a new move. So already as of knight captures on c6, the move 12, we have a completely new game. So Magnus recaptures, we have queen captures on c6, and now g5, grabbing more space on the king side, preparing h4, h5, and of course g6. So knight has to go back, knight to d7, but this is all well known, the knight is coming to c5. We have h4 by Kramnik and knight to c5, and now h5, just preparing that g6 move to start the attack as soon as possible. So Magnus goes to rook to b8, prepares to push on the queen side, and now g6 by Kramnik. And now, of course, you don't want to capture here. If you capture, then ideas like, for example, captures, and knight d5 come to mind. Sorry, not h captures right away. Knight d5 come to mind, and then it's just going to be very hard for black to play, as now it's an excellent square for the knight. If you move the queen, then you eliminate the dark square bishop, which is a very strong defender. And of course, if you accept the knight, just bishop captures, attacks the queen, and now there's a lot of pressure here. The pawn cannot capture, there's this ping, queen h2 followed by queen h7 or h8 is an idea here, and black would just lose terribly. So here, after g6, Magnus just blocks the pawn with h6, but now comes knight to d5. Kramnik goes for this piece sacrifice all the same, and it's very usual that you will see a knight d5 sacrifice against the knight, or if it's if you are attacking the knight, of you are most likely to play knight to d5. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So let's see how it works here. So Magnus accepts the knight, e captures on d5. We have bishop captures and the queen to e8 now, but now it's a little bit different as the h file is closed. So what happens if you capture? If you capture, Magnus already grabbed one piece, so he might as well give up the rook for a second one. So let's say captures, and you would get this position where Kramnik would be up a pawn, but Magnus would have a bishop and the knight for a rook, which would be better for black in this position. So after queen to e8, we have the move from the thumbnail. Vladimir continues happily sacrificing pieces. Bishop captures on h6. And now, of course, you really need to capture this. It's not really an option. So Magnus captures it, and now rook to g1. Now preparing captures on f7, which will come with a double check from the pawn and also from the rook on g1. So first, Magnus goes for bishop to h4 check. Doesn't allow any queenside castling to bring the other rook into the game as well. King to d1, and now queen to e5. Here Magnus just says your kung fu is weak. I don't mind if you capture here on f7. There's nothing there. If you capture there, just king h7, and there is no attack here. These pawns are actually in white's way, and you know, it'd probably be better if they weren't there. So maybe if you could get a hold of this diagonal with the bishop, then maybe you could be able to do something. So instead, we have just c3. Kramnik just improves his position here, makes an escape route for the king, probably prepares to bring the other rook into the game. But now comes bishop to e6. Of course, now Magnus is a material, so he wants to trade off as many attackers as possible. And now again, if you capture here, then Kramnik can even, Magnus can even start running away with the king. King here, and then you just hide him to safety. Even ideas like f4, trying to capture and get rook to f1, black can just move the queen, and then let's say captures. You don't really have any compensation here for the sacrifice material. So instead, after bishop e6 with f4 immediately, now going for captures, and then rook to f1. But Magnus again says this is nothing. He just captures the pawn, and now g captures on f7 with check. We have king to h7. It's interesting that if king captures and rook f1, black is still winning, even though you lose a queen. For example, king e7. You win the queen, but after rook captures, bishop captures, king captures, black has still so much material for the queen and rook. It's two rooks, a bishop, and the knight versus a queen and a rook here. But this rook still has a long way to go before he actually enters the game. And you know, ideas like rook captures here are coming, so it's not at all pleasant for white. So even this would be winning, but instead Magnus just went king to h7. And here, it was in this position on move 24 that Vladimir Kramnik resigned the game and with it the match. So here you resign because you're down too much material and there's no way to actually continue the attack. Like this will get traded off, either black will capture or white will capture, doesn't really matter. You don't have anything here. There is no way to do anything. Like you can do maybe a rook lift, rook to g6, but I mean queen captures on f7 and it's just pointless. Nothing is happening here. So after this, king to h7, Kramnik resigned and Magnus Carlsen wins the match, which means Magnus won all the matches he played here. He won 7 of them, he won clean, but only 2 of them against Vasily Ivanchuk and against Yanni Pomnishi. He had to go into Armageddon, but he won both of the Armageddons. And here, even though Kramnik lost the game and the match, we are going to award him the Mr. Barnes had for his relentless attack in this game, as I think it's the fair thing to do. And before we forget, we do have the standings after this. Layers again. The standings after round 9 from the cross table from Chess24. There you have it. The players who qualified for the finals of the Legends of Chess are Magnus Carlsen, Yanni Pomnishi, Anish Giri, and Peter Svidler. And Vasily Ivanchuk missed qualifying by 1 point. As you can see, Vasily has 13 points and Peter Svidler has 14. So he almost qualified. And then we have in 6th place Vladimir Kramnik, Boris Gelfand, Ding Liren, Vishwanathan Anand, and in last place Peter Leko. So there you have it. That's it for the preliminaries of the Legends of Chess. We are going to continue with the finals, of course, and see who emerges victorious as the true Legend of Chess. So once again, I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Frank Combs, Coin Connection, Pedro Quila Miranda, Maros Mitsuhashi, and Mile Petkovic for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon. Continuing the coverage of the Legends of Chess finals, checking up on your wonderful suggestions, and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.